The Camino de Fatima, or the Camino de Fatima if you're Portuguese, is one of the least known caminos, and perhaps it's because the locals have seldom thought of it as a camino, but rather a walking pilgrimage. Sometimes, some people think that Fatima is as big as Portugal. It seems to me that nobody knows about the walking pilgrimage to one of the most popular pilgrimage destinations in the world. 8 million faithful goes to Fatima every year. What will we find? Will it be like the Camino routes in Spain? Will there be a pilgrim support? Come join us as we walk the Camino de Fatima days before her feast day. Camino de Fatima is also part of Camino Portuguese, leaving Lisbon. Lisbon is very old. It was first settled by Phoenicians in 1200 BC. It is the oldest city in Western Europe, even older than Rome. Lisbon is one of the few European capitals found in an estuary of a river and an ocean, that is the Tagus River and the Atlantic Ocean. World-famous explorers like Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan, and Christopher Columbus were apparently Portuguese, although some say Columbus may have been Italian.
St. George. We're on top of the castle of St. George right now. There they are. They're looking at the garden of the king. It's still part of the castle of St. George. So this is a 6th century castle created by the Romans. It was occupied with the Muslims for about 200 years, and then King Alfonso took it back with the help of the English soldiers, English people. That's why it's dedicated to St. George, because St. George is the patron saint of the English, the castle of St. George.
We started in the Cathedral C de Lisboa for our Camino. We got the passport there and prayed a little bit. The Cathedral C de Lisboa is the Mother Church of Lisbon. It looks like we have a very rainy day to start with, and we're still 6 miles away from today's destination. For those who have done a little bit of Camino, or at least have read about the Camino, 6 miles would be a bit short to start your Camino. However, as per our research, there's not much accommodation between Lisboa or Lisbon and the next big town. Will our destination make sense, or pushing it to the next town, which is 24 miles away, would be the better option? Come, walk with us and see what happens.
Look at this, another Portuguese meal.
Beef.
And they have this. Look at this. And they have wine too. Vino.
Hindi ko na makuha. Ako man. Ngayon taguro to.
No. You look like an amateur.
Hindi man makuha. Na-push na. Tama lang kaya hindi pa po siya.
Our desire to attend the mass and the uncertainty of the accommodation makes it sensible to stop at Nacoes or Nacoes, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it came with a caveat the very next day. Day 2. We barely had a wink because of all the kids running around the night before, until probably around 4 a.m. It was what it was, but I need to make a mental note, not to stay in this youth hostel again if we ever come close in this place. Anyway, one thing that we noticed from our day 1 is the minimal Camino arrow, which is pretty prevalent in Spain. We did follow the blue arrow though to Fatima. With the rain coming down heavily when we woke up and we have to wear waterproof hiking boots nice and tight so we can wade into a swampy area on the first few miles of the stage. What will the rain bring us on this stage? Let's go, vamos. The flood in the swamps had forced us to go back and perhaps added about 6 miles to this route, but thank God for the locals as we followed them on this very industrial area. Day 3. This stage has a surprise sports that is more prevalent in Spain. But how come it's also here in Portugal? No matter what your take on this cultural phenomenon, we have to bear in mind that we need to be respectful to the local culture and tradition. Find out in this stage also why Muhammad Ali's technique of roper dope can be applied in a Camino. Come and find out what I mean. So it looks like bullfighting is also here in Portugal. I just don't know if it's as popular as the ones in Spain. The owner of the albergue where we stayed helped us by looking for an accommodation in Azambuja, which is our next destination the very next day. But he said that there's a lot of locals walking, and they have taken all the available accommodations. So we're now left with the quandary. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Luckily, the owner of the albergue gave us an idea to book us in his place for the second night. So that's what we did. All we need to do at the end of this stage is to take the train from Azambuja back to Vila Franca de Xira and spend the night there, and then take the train again the next day back to Azambuja and start our next stage there. So it's basically a roper dope. On this stage was the first time, really, that we witnessed the faith and the cultural traditions of the Portuguese people when it comes to Fatima. But the zenith of this stage is something that is out of the ordinary and not even related to Fatima. Wear your imaginary boots and come walk with us to see how contagious it is to be Portuguese.
That's a crane right there. That's nice, huh?
For Catholics, Santarem or Santarem is an important pilgrimage stop. One of the most important Eucharistic miracles happened in this town at the top of the hill. A 1346 document by King Alfonso IV detailed the story that happened a century before. The story of a wife consumed by jealousy of her husband consulted a sorceress. The sorceress told her, the wife, to steal a hose so she can use it to make a love potion. So the wife stole the host and wrapped it in a cloth, but immediately blood came out of the host. Afraid, she hid it inside a drawer in their bedroom. However, blood kept on gushing out of it, and it emitted a light like daylight, that the husband noticed it. The wife confessed and told him what she did. They called the pastor of Saint Stephen, who immediately made a procession and put the Blessed Sacrament in a reliquary. The host bled for 3 more days. In 1340, it bled again and in many occasions all throughout the centuries. One of the witnesses of this miracle was Saint Francis Xavier, the Apostle of the Indies. Saint Stephen Church is now called the Shrine of the Holy Miracle. The couple's home is now a chapel, which is the starting point of a yearly procession of the miraculous Holy Eucharist to Saint Stephen Church. It happens every second Sunday of April. This stage started with day 5 with a lot of uphill and downhill, and it's been raining, and it's been raining for the last 5 days anyway. So the walking is terrible, but what it lacks in the easy walk category, it made up with the views as it gets closer and closer to the national park. However, this stage has also showed us a glimpse of why the Virgin Mary has chosen to appear to the Portuguese kids and to the Portuguese people in general in 1917 instead of others. They have these traits that is pretty unique in mostly secular Europe. Let me explain, but first, walk with us. This stage was brutal. We were soaking wet the whole day. But what made it tolerable are the locals. They were so conscientious and friendly that they offered to have their van carry our backpacks. Of course, we refused. But They also insisted that we break bread with them and share their food with us during lunch. So that was amazing. Day 6, or our last day. So we did a rope-a-dope again. We stayed in Fatima, and then had a taxi picked us up. So having picked up by a very nice and very friendly taxi driver, who actually gave us a bottle of a local wine called Jinja. It was very good. This stage was full of surprises because of the locals again. This video can be 2 hours long, and I still would not be able to tell all the good stories of the people we met along the way, both pilgrims and the ones helping the pilgrims. It's amazing. But the star of this pilgrimage is the Mother of Jesus, Mother Mary. Let me give you the story of Fatima, a very Muslim name in the midst of the most religious Catholic pilgrimage in the world. On this day, on May 13, 99 years ago, in 1917, a beautiful woman appeared to 3 peasant children, Francisco, Jacinta, and Lucia, while they tend to their sheep. The woman in a white hovering above a bush told them to pray for peace. For the next 6 months, every 13th day of every month, the Virgin Mary, the Mother of Jesus, appeared to these kids, urging them to pray the Rosary. It culminated with a miracle of the dancing sun, witnessed and recorded by believers and non-believers alike, including scientists who until today have no explanation why the sun behaved contrary to the laws of physics.